Jono, this is your last week, so we thought we'd get your world-famous crystal ball out after you predicted the demise of Fremantle all those years ago. No one does a pre-season preview better than you, so why don't we kick off 18 teams over the next 3 or 4 nights? And tonight we'll begin with the A's. Well, we'll begin with A, in fact, Adelaide. They've had a big week. They've had a couple of big announcements, but can their footy team improve next year? Welcome again.
Yeah, Jared, it's going to be a big year for the Adelaide Crows next year. When we look back at what they were able to produce this year, 8 wins, 14th on the ladder. Look, they were able to provide some spark, I think, with some youth coming through. Saligo, I know you like Saligo, Jared, in the way that he moves around the ground. I thought Jordan Dawson fitted in really well.
Big pickup.
He averaged over 600 metres gained pretty much for his output.
Yep.
So slow start, but really built into the way that they want to play their footy under Matty Nix. And Darcy Fogarty, 33 goals, was a huge result, I think, in terms of his improvement in the competition. Then you got Josh Rochelle, who just started so well. And I think another pre-season under his belt will allow his growth in this footy club. The key areas, Rory Sloane coming back from injury, big question mark on him finding and recapturing that form. And their key backs, Butts and Murray, they were just out-muscled, outsized throughout the entire season. So they have to work on supporting their defence, I think, a little bit more. Attack's in the right spot. Midfield will grow. Defence is the area that they really need to support.
Yeah, they probably need to continue to build that midfield, but ultimately, as you rightly said, they've got, as far as keys are concerned, take Tex Walker out of it. He's in his last year or second last year, Max, I would think.
Yep, agree.
They've got to get some of these plentiful talls that they've got coming through. Now, they've got some high draft picks in those areas. They lost one. Frampton's gone. He's gone to the Pies. So they have got 2 or 3 that have had enough games now for next year to really start to see some improvement.
That's it. And you got the inclusion of Isaac Rankin. So everyone's excited by that, understand the level that he can play at. Everyone's saying, well, he needs to become a midfielder. But that's not going to be next year. It's still going to be a split where it's going to be maybe even 75-25. You know what I mean? Like, he's not there yet. So that's 2-3 years down the track for Isaac Rankin to maybe even become a 50-50 split in terms of his ability to run out a game in the midfield and then have an impact in the forward half of the ground.
Yes, it's hard to know, do you turn him into a midfielder? I mean, let's put him into the best hope I reckon they could do is to get a Shea Bolton. They'd like to have him as a Shea Bolton. Now, he may have more tricks around goals than Shea, but that would be saying something.
That would be the perfect role and something that he needs to aspire to, because that's been the class of Bolton's improvement this year as his spark in the midfield. But it is a spark. That's purely what it is.
That's right. He just gets him in there, gets him the release, gets him unhinged from anybody that's putting a close tag on him. But there's a lot of midfielders out there. There's very few that can kick goals like Bolton and Isaac Rankin. So, bottom 6, middle 6 or top 6?
Bottom 6 for the Adelaide Crows.
Still bottom 6?
Still bottom 6.
Okie doke. Yep. Moving on. The Brisbane Lions, who have picked up a couple of boom recruits.
Yes, they have.
Had a good off-season.
They very much have, Jared. It's the Brisbane Lions. When you look at prelim final, they got 2 big finals wins, which I think was critical for them as a football club. Richmond in the first week, Melbourne in the second week of the finals, and then they got destroyed by the Cats in the prelim final. So
that one big final win, wasn't it? Though it was a monster.
It's exactly what they needed, though. I think as a club, and I think they realise still what they need to sort of work on. Up forward, they've got class everywhere. Their mids are strong, and I know that Josh Dunkley is an addition to that. Defensively, they provided some good run. Coleman, I thought, improved as a player in his one. Answorth, Andrews and Adams are that tall combination. If Adams goes down, I think it affects them defensively with their structure. So look, across the board, they're in the right spot. They'll get Will Ashcroft in. They'll get Jasper Fletcher in, a couple of father-sons, which will be great for the footy club. They've got Jack Gunston to replace McStay. I think he adds a fair bit, Jack Gunston, to his smarts in the forward half of the ground, and might release Bailey a little bit higher at times and get him some more midfield minutes.
I need Joe Danaher to be the Joe Danaher of the first 6 weeks last year, not the last 6 weeks. I know he got the injury, so he needs to come out 100%.
Yeah, he does. And that combination with Hipwood is critical. We know the effect of the 2 key forwards and the impact they can have across a season. We saw it with Geelong and what they produced with Hawkins and Cameron. So they're the 2. Cam Rayner's a little bit of a smoky for me. I think he showed enough and got better as the year went on. So
he's one more possession.
And I think that will happen. Coming off the injury, and then as it went on, he started to move out of stoppage a bit more with a bit more speed and freedom.
Rainer man.
And movement. So, get on Rayner next year.
Bottom 6, middle 6, top 6?
Top 6.
Top 4?
Top 4.
Top 2?
No.
Okay, moving on. Only pre-season prediction.
It is.
These things can change. Carlton, the Mighty Blues.
What do you mean they'll change? They'll be held to this for the next 12 months, Jared. So the Blues, they were good this year, the Blues. They were great to watch. Yeah, they missed out on finals, finishing 9th. Michael Voss, I think, changed the tone of the way they want to play their footy. Cripps and Walsh finally got some help in the midfield. So Hewitt, Cher and Kennedy. I thought O'Brien was okay on a wing and improved as a player.
Akers is a good pickup.
Akers is going to be great for them because what he does, he creates width. He's a width player. He plays the wings and he plays them wide. So he's the perfect player for when they are coming out of defence, that they will be able to have an access to a player who will be able to continue that transition of ball going forward. Corey Durden was excellent up forward. Jesse Motlop provided a spark. 3 All-Australians this year, although not making the finals in Cripps, Curnow and Sard. So all of a sudden you've got All-Australians, you've got Wiedering, Curnow and Mackay, the 3 bigs that they've built the team around. I thought Doherty was one of the stories of the year coming back from the cancer and then playing the football that he did was outstanding. Everything's in the right spot for Carlton to really grow and push themselves out.
I thought Hewitt was a huge loss for them.
He was.
In fact, I reckon they tipped over when he went out.
Yeah, it's a good point because of that support in the midfield that he was providing and providing some good numbers in terms of what he was able to do in an offensive manner in winning his own ball, but then restricting the opposition, which he's done for his entire career. So
their best last year was as good as any of the top 4 sides.
Yeah, I agree with that. And look, Liam Jones wasn't there anyway. He's gone. Will Setterfield didn't affect their structure too much in terms of him leaving. So Blake Acres is the key in, and they'll be a top 8 side definitely next year.
Middle 6, top 6, bottom 6.
They will sit 6th.
Top 6.
Top 6.
I like it. Moving on. Pies.
The Pies were a surprise.
They were amazing.
Absolutely.
Surprise Pies.
Big time. Like, you talk about the influence of the coach we just did with Michael Voss. Craig McRae was sensational. I think, the way that he was able to change their style of play to become more of an attacking
run and gun.
Free running type of team. I think the Dacos boys were awesome. McCreary is a young fella. Ginnivan got plenty of airtime this year, but still played some pretty strong football throughout the home and away season. Jamie Elliott was just clutch in some critical moments. And look, they're a team that, for me now, we look at the draw, and I know the way that we talk about things all the time, but them being in a top 6 draw, I suppose, is the only big question mark now. They come from bottom 6 and just bolted. The challenge now is playing against the best teams in the competition. They will be in some close encounters and they will get blown away at times. But how they keep responding in these situations is the critical watch.
Picked up a few players, though, a couple of senior players.
Yeah, Bobby Hill is a good pickup, I think, with some speed. McStay, we wait and see. Like, McStay's a good structural player and he will help Myercheck in terms of that. And Myercheck needs support. So he's going to get that. But whether he can give you the goal output, I'm not too sure that they'd be searching for. Billy Frampton might be able to provide that. Tom Mitchell's a great get.
I think he's a ripper.
Yeah, this is an accumulator in the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
So, their mids are strong, and Taylor Adams is the other one. If they have a Mitchell-Adams combination in the middle of the ground and Taylor Adams can get himself through a full season without being injured, that's going to be huge for the Pies.
Plus, it means Pendlebury can play behind the ball more.
Well, that's it. And he just sets up behind the contest brilliantly, moves on to that side with his composure, and his structure, the way he structures up everyone else is brilliant.
Top 6?
Middle 6.
Middle 6. Big call from Jono. That's the first big call of the pre-season, folks. Middle 6 for the Pies.
Middle 6 for the Pies. But that's not a negative either.
That's 7th or 8th.
That is 7th or 8th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I would have thought top 6 for you. But,
no, middle 6 because it's just the draw that they've got.
I know you're putting a lot of stake in the draw.
I am putting a lot in that, and they bolted this year.
Yep.
But they could level for 12 months or 12 months before they actually go again as a footy club.
All right. So at this stage, they're not bottom 6. That's the one thing we can be consistent on. Let's move on to the Bombers, who have had a very interesting off-season. Not all of it good, but they've got a good coach. They've appointed Brad Scott, and he's now starting to work the team around him.
Yeah, exactly. 7 wins, but it was just a disappointing
7
year.
wins,
yeah,
wasn't
it was. There was turmoil sort of everywhere. Talk on Ben Rutten throughout the entire season and where he was at, and
players weren't happy. Players were happy.
Exactly right. And the way they played their footy at times was okay, and then other times it was just
one
no
ripper.
good whatsoever.
They belted St Kilda Marvel Stadium. I saw that game and I thought, gee, this group has really come on, but they faded.
Oh, they got players that have come on. Like Perkins was brilliant. Draper showed a fair bit. Caldwell, Harrison Jones is a player of the future as well. Peter Wright up front. They had enough. Even Laverde, I think, really had to fight down back, and he did a great job at times. They did have that ability to unleash some younger players within their lineup. But overall, they're just after stability. I suppose Nick Martin was the other one that had an excellent year as well as a young. Who's
the man I've forgotten? Cross half back.
Oh, D'Ambrosio.
No, not in a first or second year.
Mason Redmond.
Redmond.
Sensational.
Sensational year.
Yeah. So all of a sudden we've mentioned probably 10 names there that can actually take this club forward with some stability around them. Now the stability comes from Brad Scott, the coaching staff, and then the broader club. Once they're all set up and ready to go.
Bottom six, mid six, top six.
No, bottom six.
Still bottom six.
Yep.
That'll be disappointing for Bombers fans. And finally, the Dockers, really interesting. As I said to you earlier, I'm interested in them. I think they will go forward, but they've compromised their depth to a degree. How do you see it?
Yeah, no, I think they'll go forward again as a footy club. They were very good again this year, and it's all based for me on their back six.
Fantastic back six.
As good
as
in
the game.
They're building a premiership defence, I think, and when you look at the three keys that they've got, they had them out there more often than not this year. So they're able to defensively structure up better.
Cox, Pearce and Ryan.
They're the three. And then you had, Young running off half back who was good. Walker was very good. So Jordan Clark slotted in brilliantly. And so all of a sudden they were able to provide the run, and then the mids were able to play. We know the star midfield that they have got that'll continue to evolve and get better. So, but they lose some key players. Blake Acres, you mentioned already, going to Carlton. Rory Lobb, Griffin Logue, Darcy Tucker was sort of in their probably best 25 or 6, and then Lloyd Meek, which is an interesting loss.
They've lost depth,
and that's a big question mark. In terms of why have all these players all of a sudden when Freo are in a pretty good spot to start to challenge over the next couple of years. Why are they all going?
Yeah,
and so, it's a big question, I suppose, that we'll wait and see how they perform to how it's answered. Josh Corbett comes in. Luke Jackson's the big recruit of the year. So there's a replacement for Lobb and Meek, I suppose, two for one. And Jager O'Meara, which I think fell into their lap late. And so he can add a bit of class and ball use, especially with Mundy going out. I think O'Meara comes in, can play high half forward, get up on a wing, get behind the contest and use the ball well. Still
got a lot of improvement. A lot of their young blokes, even the high-profile young blokes, couple of midfielders, couple of half-backs. I like them. That's why I was so disappointed for them that they lost a couple along the way. But I see them top 6. Where do you see them?
I see them top 6, but the conversation all year can't be around Fife again. So they need to work out a way as a footy club that they just completely shut that away. Fife played 7 games, wasn't going to play 4, was going to play in the midfield only. All these conversations that were bubbling around need to disappear from the outset for them to go forward and be successful in the top 6.
Bottom 6, middle
top
6.
Top
6 for you.
Yep.
Okie doke, folks. Well, that's our first pre-season wrap-up. There's half a dozen sides that Jono has pushed through. So at this stage, just repeating, correct me if I'm wrong, Adelaide bottom 6, Brisbane top 6, Carlton middle 6.
Middle 6?
7th or
7th? No, they were top 6. No, they were middle 6.
Yeah,
Sorry, they were middle 6.
7th or 8th.
Yes.
Collingwood was
middle 6.
So they're 7th and 8th.
Yes.
Essendon were bottom 6. And Freo top 6.
Now, we're going to have to keep a list here because I'll double up somewhere.
You can't have too many in the top 6.
That's it.